I want to discuss a rumor out there regarding the Broncos potentially making a big splash in NFL free agency that unofficially starts next Monday, this upcoming Monday, and then the new league year officially begins on Wednesday. That's when contracts can actually be signed. But on Monday, it's legal tampering, so agents can start talking to teams officially as if they're not already. Now, I came across an NFL.com article that talked about a couple of splash candidates, and they had the Denver Broncos on it as a team that could be making a big move in free agency. So I thought we could discuss the possibility of Denver going out there and making some waves a little bit and making some noise and maybe a huge signing or two. Here's what NFL.com had to say about the Broncos. When it comes to making splashy moves, Payton needs to boost Knicks' supporting cast. The Broncos must find a more viable option at tight end. Payton also would love to find a running back who can make life easier on his young quarterback. He specifically covets a player who can fill the Joker role of a runner/receiver that turned Alvin Kamara into a star during Payton's tenure in New Orleans. A player like J.K. Dobbins could be an intriguing fit. I'm going to interject right here and say I disagree. I don't think the Broncos are going to be a splashy team in free agency, at least not with the current free agency pool. But we are seeing as we lead up to free agency, teams begin making roster cuts. The Jets on Tuesday moved on from Davante Adams. The Seahawks, they moved on from our old friend Draymond Jones, who there's a video out on the channel, depending on when you're watching this, that I'm going to discuss. There are cuts being made. And so it's important to remind ourselves before free agency that the free agency class is not yet finalized because teams are going to make roster cuts. And all of a sudden, that could bring someone new into the fold that we didn't have on our radar a few weeks ago. But as things currently stand right now, I don't see how the Broncos make a big splash move in free agency because where they need help at is not a good time to have a free agency need at that department. So sure, Davante Adams, big name, and you guys can weigh in down below if you would go out and sign him. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to one of two places. Wherever Aaron Rodgers ends up, and to me that looks like one of three places. The Giants, the Titans, if they decide, let's go with a veteran quarterback and take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, or wait until someone gets injured in like training camp or the start of the season and come in then. And so Adams is not going to wait for option number 3 for Rodgers. I don't think he's going to do Tennessee. He might do the Giants. Maybe he just wants to stay in New York, but I don't think he likes New York. So I think Adams is going to go to the West Coast. And while Denver is much more West Coast than a lot of other teams, I don't think it's the West Coast that Adams is thinking of. I think he's thinking of one specific state with a bear on its flag. So I don't think Adams is coming to Denver. Now, as I was saying earlier, the Broncos, the two biggest needs for them in my eyes are tight end and running back. So if there was a tight end worth making a splash for, sure. But look at the free agent tight ends. It's a fucking kiddie pool of tight ends. Who are you diving in head first here for? Juwan Johnson, maybe? Wouldn't be the first Saints player to come to Denver. I don't think Zach Ertz is leaving D.C. Mike Gesicki, I think, is a part of Cincinnati's future. Maybe you could throw a lot of money his way, but do you want to just make a big signing for the sake of saying we signed someone and we made a huge signing? I don't. I don't think there's someone out here worth a contract large enough that you and I would say that's a splash move. Maybe a trade is more likely for a splash acquisition, like, say, Kyle Pitts from Atlanta. I think that would qualify as a splash move. And I could see Atlanta moving on from Pitts. And he's kind of a tough nut to crack when it comes to his evaluation in the NFL. 1,000 yards as a rookie, but it's been declining since then. Maybe a change of scenery is all he needs. If the Broncos trade for him, it's for the right price. I think that could be a good deal for both parties. But when it comes to the free agency class, I don't see a splash name out there. I think the solution to the Broncos tight end problem is in the draft, not in free agency. It's a loaded tight end draft class. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. Could be the first 2 tight ends to go in round 1 since 2019 with Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson off the top of my head right now. It's a good tight end class. That's what I'm trying to say here. And I'd rather go address that need in the draft than just, hey, we're going to sign a tight end to a $30, $40 million contract so we can say we made a big tight end signing. Yeah, but no, those guys are worth that much money. So just signing people for the sake of signing people to big contracts? Not interested. No. Next up, the running backs. First things first, though, I was browsing on Fanatics, and I saw this awesome Broncos winter hat that is 70% off. I know it's finally beginning to warm up a little bit, but do future you a favor because this hat usually goes for about $35. It is less than $10 right now on Fanatics. So if you're even half thinking about getting some new Broncos gear for the future, do it now when they have all this winter clearance sale. Go to chatsports.com/DEN hat. I put the link in the comments and description of today's video for you. For the running backs now, who could they make a splash running back signing? There's better running back names than tight end names, for sure. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins. Some notable names right there that I could see a few of them getting nice paydays. Not to the level of last offseason with Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry. No, these guys are not near that tier of free agent running backs. But the name that did come up in the NFL.com report was J.K. Dobbins, who, kudos to him, had a phenomenal year with the Chargers given his injury history in Baltimore. And the Chargers took a gamble on a guy who couldn't stay healthy for much of his career. And he had a phenomenal year with Jim Harbaugh. I don't see why the Chargers would let that guy out the door, though. He put up 905 yards and missed like 4 games as well. 9 touchdowns. I'd be shocked if the Chargers let Dobbins go. So I'm not putting many eggs in this basket right here. One basket that I could see the Broncos looking into, Aaron Jones. I think he can offer some versatility in the passing department, obviously on the ground as well. He's over 30, so that's going to be a turnoff for some people. I'll also suggest Nick Chubb. I think the Broncos could look at Chubb as just, hey, that's a really good running back that 2 years removed from his injury might be closer to his pre-injury form, but he's definitely not a joker. And we know by now how badly Sean Payton wants a joker. So I go back to one big question here. You say the Broncos are going to make a big splash in free agency. On who? The only position I could see them making a big splash in is linebacker. Like, what did they make Zach Bond from the Eagles? A $15 million man? I guess that would qualify as a splash for that position. But there's not a running back out there that you're making a splash for, nor a tight end. So I don't see Denver making a big splash in free agency. I think they should add a linebacker. It appears clear to me that they want to retool, rebuild that interior linebacker room. Maybe they move on from Alex Singleton, 1 year left on his deal coming off a torn ACL. Maybe they decide to go spend bigger than Cody Barton with like a Zach Bond or someone like that. And then build in the draft. Go fix your running back and tight end needs in this draft class. Because it's a great running back and tight end draft class. Whichever player you like more in round 1 at either of those positions, take the other in round 2. You want to go Colston Loveland round 1, Caleb Johnson round 2, get after it. You want to go Ashton Genty in round 1, Harold Fannin in round 2, by all means. That is a better solution to this problem than just spending money to spend money. It's like the government. We're just going to throw money at problems and hope it solves it. You do not think this will take a political turn. So, should the Broncos make a splash signing? For what Denver needs help at, there's not a water park to go to here. There's the kiddie pool. So, I'm going to pass. All right, before we get on out of here, name a random Broncos bust free agent signing. I'm kind of enjoying this. Hope you guys are as well. I've got a name in mind, premeditated this time. I'm going to count down from 3. Let me know if you say the same person I do. 3, 2, 1. Jarvis Green. Signed to a 4-year contract. Did not play a single game for the Broncos. Released in like the roster cut down portion of the offseason, and in September, August, whenever the turn of the month was. Great job Josh McDaniels, excellent work by you. I'm guessing the next best name that was said, well, recency bias say Randy Gregory. I think we can all agree it's Jawan James in terms of real bust for how much he was paid, but the injury really sucked for him. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you scroll on down, click that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already.